Good evening. Good evening. Hello. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you again for the folks that are on virtually. It's awesome that we're able to do this and be able to get everyone here and also share the messaging with people that are at home. I'm Stacy Weeks with Norris Design, and we're the design consultant that is assisting Denver Parks and Rec with the design process for Dailey Park. So there's a lot of passion for this park, a lot of commitment from the neighbors to get this to this point from a master plan 10 plus years ago. And we're excited to be assisting them to help make this happen and to design plans that'll deliver improvements to Dailey Park. So I'd like to have Christopher Schooler make an introduction with Denver Parks and Rec. Thank you. We'll go with how that was going.
All right. How about now? Very good. Awesome. Super. So my name is Chris Schooler. I'm the Parks and Rec PM for the project. We're happy that you're all here and that we're able to discuss everything about all things Dailey Park. I'd like to recognize some of our folks in the audience. Christina from the La Familia. Thanks for coming. Also Craig Coronado, who's with Denver Parks and Recreation. Jesus Orantia is in the back. He's our community engagement specialist. Also would like to say hi to Mark Tabor with the Baker Neighborhood District. Thanks for coming, Mark. We have already had a couple of chats about our project, and we kicked it off about 2-3 months ago, just starting to gather information. We're very excited to have this first public meeting to start talking about the scope of the project, what we have funding for, how the park is being used. As you may know, there was a master plan that was developed by Parks in about 2009, 2010, and several items from that master plan, actually all of those items from that master plan are still important, and we want to kind of test the waters to see what's relevant and maybe what isn't. So we'll chat through all of that. I'm going to kick it back over to Stacy and let him run through the presentation, kind of tell us about our rules or how we're expecting the agenda of the evening to unfold. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, you got it?
Yeah. You can hear us all right? Yeah, I think the microphone was having a little pickup issue there. So for the attendees online, if somebody could just chime in and see Patrick O'Keefe's online just to make sure you're hearing us all right. Oh, well, that's great to hear. I'll take that as a compliment for the day. Thank you. Also wanted to introduce the rest of our team. Anna Claudia is the park planner with DPR, and she's not able to make it tonight. We have Jesus here this evening. And then Craig Coronado is also here with Denver Parks and Rec. With the Norris Design team, we have Patrick O'Keefe, who will be helping this evening with the communications with our hybrid attendees so that you can message him and he'll be able to get questions, and then we'll open up at the end. I'll share an agenda, but you'll be able to speak as well. We also have Rachel Nicolaisen in the back, Brian Rogers, and Mike Goff helping us this evening. So thanks for everyone's help here. So this evening, this is about getting input from everyone here. We're excited. Is that coming through still clear? Okay, just wanted to make sure. We're excited to get input from everyone here tonight. So we're going to give a little bit of background on our current analysis and findings. We're going to seed what you have from your personal perspectives and interest in, just the pure excitement that you all have for Dailey Park into this dialogue this evening. We're going to also talk about the program so everyone understands the baseline that we're starting with from the bond funding for this. And we'll hit a couple highlights from the community questionnaire. Just show of hands, who here had an opportunity to complete the community questionnaire? Awesome. Awesome. Well, we appreciate you taking a few minutes to do that. And then we'll open this up for a question and answer session. So we'll walk through where we are. For those online, this is important. We have at the bottom of your Zoom, there's an opportunity to enter your questions in that Q&A function that's highlighted on the left button. So that's where you can enter a question. And then we also have, which will be important at the end, the raise hand function, which the raise hand function gives us a cue that you would like to ask a question verbally. So we'll make sure and use the raise hand function to unmute you and give you an opportunity to speak. So let us know. You can ask Patrick a question if you have questions, because I won't know the question right now. All right. Well, everyone here knows where Dailey Park is, which is wonderful. That makes it very easy. But we're in the Baker neighborhood, and this is a really growing neighborhood, seeing a lot of reinvestment, renewal in the neighborhood. You're also seeing new multifamily development on the southern fringe, which brings a lot of new neighbors to the community. So over the past decade plus since the original master plan, you've seen change in the neighborhood, and we have had an opportunity to start to sift through the input from the questionnaire to gather some of that input of what people are seeing. You also have several parks that serve the neighborhood. So Dailey Park is a neighborhood park, centrally located. And then as you look to the west, we also have Valverde Park, Aspen, we have Vanderbilt Park to the south. And we'll talk about this in a minute. They're not as walkable as you would hope for those kind of parks in this area. So this park, Dailey Park, really serves that walkability aspect of it. Flores Park to the north is close. And then as you go further north, you have Sunken Gardens and Alamo Placida Park too. But once again, we'll touch on this, not really the real walkable parks. The other influences are La Familia Recreation Center, which is a heavy user of the park in terms of providing programs between, you'll start seeing the T-ball, flag football, some of the small-sided soccer here, which is awesome to have that connection and that relationship with the park. It really is special and adds to the park. And I apologize for the reverb. I'm not sure how to fix that. In addition to that, we have the Ross Broadway Library out on Broadway, which also utilizes the park for some of the reading rooms or outdoor reading opportunities. And then Fairmount also does some teaching at the park too. So it's great to have the different users utilize Dailey Park. And then some of the stuff that we've heard along the way, the lunch loop, definitely a lot of, we saw the evening use of people coming out walking and walking their dogs in the park. So just to highlight some of the parks that are in the vicinity, as I mentioned, Flores really is a pocket park. It's a small park that provides a picnic area, small basketball court, but it does serve as an overflow park for the neighborhood. And then Valverde is an athletic park, which serves for that destination sports needs in the area. But this is generally a drive-to park, but it definitely helps with the service of sports and recreation for the neighborhood. Am I too low? Is it not picking up? Okay, thank you. And then Vanderbilt Park to the south, that's also a community park, so a larger scale park for the region, and it serves the sports needs and other uses. And then as you go down to the bottom line, as I mentioned, Aspen, West Bar Val, Sunken Gardens, all neighborhood parks. So these are similar to the function that Dailey Park serves the community as that neighborhood walkable park. They're all different scales. This is a 2.7 acre park. So just to give you perspective, if you've been to any of these parks, Aspen is 3.7, West Bar Val is 12.7, and Sunken Gardens is 11 acres. So much larger areas. And you think about the amenities in this, there's a lot that DPR has provided in the park. So starting on the big scale, how do you get to the park? I bet raise of hands, how many people walk to the park on a regular basis? All right, it's a walking park. Any bikers stroll down here? All right, a few. Anyone take the bus? All right, well, it is conveniently located in bus routes, but it is a walking park, and we heard that loud and clear in the questionnaire. So walking, this is why Dailey Park is so coveted in the love for the park. This is the heart of Baker for all of you. And with the barriers between I-25, Santa Fe, the light rail, Alameda being really the only outlet to get you to the western and southern parks, it's not very conducive to really get that access to some of the other parks. So Dailey becomes the heavy lifter for your parks and recreation needs. And I'm sure what we've seen over the past few years is how much parks have become even more essential to our life in our outdoor recreational needs, because we needed that outlet, and it really brought people back to parks in a big way. And it's been amazing to see that passion grow for parks over the past couple of years. So this is a kind of a renaissance time in many ways for parks for across Denver and nationally. But for us, just to point out a few things, the yellow circle is about a 1/4 mile radius. That's about a 5-minute walk, plus or minus. So that's really, you can see the draw into Dailey Park. And the red line, that's trapezoidal. Those are kind of your barriers. Alameda, 6, really. I mean, those are tougher streets to cross traditionally. So this really kind of drives home that this is the place that everyone comes to gather, and it's the community hub. So stepping back to the past, the 2009 master plan went through a process with community meetings, gathering input from the community. I'd be curious, just from the group here, how many people had a chance to participate back in 2009? Okay, great. It really set the foundation for the bond in the programming for the park. The process went through, as I mentioned, several community meetings and developed 3 concepts that had different options of where the amenities could be located in the renovation of the park. So as you can see on this, the concept that was the preferred concept looked at an alternative location for the sport court, the basketball court. It looked at reconfiguring the play area, and it looked at creating some gathering plazas. So it maintained the idea of the lawn. It made a larger gesture at reworking some of the walks, but you can see that it maintained the general form of the park in its concept. So I guess I'd like to pause here and just ask a quick question. I was thinking about it on the walkability side and just the past of the original design process. What other key influences do you have that you find that influence your thought about Dailey Park in terms of, what brings you here, what's important to you? Does anyone have anything that jumps out to you real quick? Sir? Okay, place to run your dog. Okay. Anyone else? Place to meet people that run their dog, gather, get together. Yes, sir.
It's, I have a 4-year-old daughter. We use the playground. We have lots of friends.
Go ahead. Yes, ma'am.
They places like my kids
Okay.
on weekends or after work. They play for safe and
Yep.
TV free.
Yep. Awesome. Yes, sir.
Is there a place for neighborhood sports activity, particularly associated with the youth and the La Familia?
Great. Yes.
I love walking around.
Walking around the walk path. Yep. Sir.
We've had barbecues and picnics in the park.
Yep. Picnic barbecues that you guys host the social, which is as a neighborhood, which brings you all together. Riley?
And the traffic to make it safer for kids and
Okay, yeah, that's an influence here. Yeah, one of the members here, and feel free to chime in on the Q and A if there's anything, Patrick, but the traffic, Cherokee specifically. Cherokee probably is one area where you see greater traffic. Yeah. Yeah, and that's something we've heard through the questionnaire is the influence of traffic and, you know, where as we are thinking about the program, think about how a playground can be organized on the park. So sorry, I didn't see your hand.
Comment I was gonna make about things, is dog poop.
Yep.
And we all know about it, and we all, I know there's things around the outside of the street. Except for one right by the bus stop.
Yep.
And, which is really good with what we for the bus, but anyhow, there is one there.
Yep.
And, I don't know what the situation, the solution is, putting more up there, or I think if you put like bags up there, like bags with a rolling bags or something, probably everybody can come in.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yep.
That might help.
So, yeah, oh, it's a great point. And that's something that we'll need to consider in design, that having doggy bags and access to dealing with dog waste. Yeah. It is. Yep. Okay. Well, we'll dig in that at the end a little bit more with the commentary. I just wanted to hit a couple highlights and just things that people are thinking about right now, so we can generate some initial thoughts as we get into closer to a question and answer.
Places to bring your dog.
All right. We love the dogs. Yeah.
I think because of the dog poop all over, I mean, it's on the lawn, it's on top of the ice and the snow and
Yep.
everything else, that a lot of people don't want to walk in the park.
Mhm.
Because frequently it is on the sidewalk.
Okay. Yep.
Can't even,
Yep.
pick it up.
Oh, go ahead.
Yes, that's one glad I sometimes cross walking back using the lawn and. I did that like many times, maybe like 5 times in 7 months, but in 2 occasions, I was.
Oh.
And on my board, my sweeps.
Okay.
And they are,
Yep.
smaller one poops.
Well-
And then I step up again, they are poops.
Okay. Well,
And I step up again, they are poops again.
we'll get into that.
Like masks.
Okay, well, thank you for adding that, the waste on the park, we gotta, that's a item to focus on, so. We're gonna jump into kind of where we're going right now with this process. As I mentioned, the master plan in 2009 set a framework for the park to at least guide the improvements that are considered for it, so over the past couple years, as voters, we as a community voted to approve the Denver Go bonds, or the Denver Rise bond, which is a general obligation bond within the city. So this provided funding for a collection of parks across the city and other improvements beyond just parks. But for this park, it allowed a budget of 1.4 million for the park to be used for design and construction of new elements and amenities and a renovation of features at the park. So currently, as part of that Rise bond, we have the playground replacement as part of that. We have the basketball court replacement as part of this. We also are looking at the walks and ADA improvements for those. You'll see, as you all know, there's panels that have lifted due to the trees, and there's all other situations where there's panels that would need to be updated, concrete portions of the walk to improve the ADA compliance of the park. We also are looking at how to create a more efficient irrigation system for the park, better water application that would improve the turf durability, and then looking at also where there's opportunities to reduce irrigation and look at alternatives from a landscape perspective. And then finally, topic that's come up are the historic, or I should the restrooms, the old restroom structures that are out there, and just trying to get input on alternatives for that. The budget right now, that's not part of our budget, but at least in the design process, want to think about that. Yes, sir. Well, currently within the budget right now, restrooms are not part of our budget. That's a larger expansion. Plus, this is a neighborhood park, and restrooms typically are not part of a neighborhood park in terms of a built feature. It's a unique scenario with the old structures there. Oh, yes.
They, now or in the future, someone that make some kind of connection between Alati and the rec center and cut
That's a-
the traffic, the heavy traffic and the racing cars and stuff down Alati, especially at Cherokee.
Yeah, that's a great question. And as part of this project right now, and maybe Chris, you can touch on this a little bit, but as part of this project, we're focused within Dailey Park, within the boundary. But I would have to expect that we'll hear some input on that. And it's definitely a conversation piece that there's potential influence of planning in the future that might be a topic of discussion.
Yeah, I mean, just to kind of reiterate what Stacy said is that yeah, just to reiterate kind of what Stacy's saying is that, yeah, the project that we're working on is within the confines of the park, but we want to hear if there's issues, safety issues in particular on the streets, then we have to understand what they are and how we can possibly, fix them. Making a safer pedestrian crossing from the park to the La Familia Rec Center, I think is a great idea.
And that's an important connection because we've heard directly in conversations how much the park's used for programs, and making sure that's a good crossing is important. Yes, sir. Yep, correct. Oh, great. Thanks for bringing that up. That's a great point in terms of connectivity and access. Yep. So just digging into some of the detail, and the park and as intimately as any of us, but focusing, as I mentioned, focusing on the walks, making those improvements, looking at the irrigation. As we've been looking at the site, you can see in the image, there's areas that struggle with the water service from the irrigation system. And some of the things that we've gotten into the details of, the basketball court currently has the fence, and so does the playground. How's that work with, keeping separation from the street in those activities on there, and maybe thinking about where we locate those different amenities as we go through the design process to create that separation. As you just hit on the connection to La Familia, thinking about making sure that is clearly defined, and then the playground and ball court renovation. And one of the other areas that we will also have taken notice is the gathering areas and picnic areas, opportunities to look at how those are performing and how to make them be more impactful. There's a big contingent, as we met with the Hirschfield Towers group about a month ago, that you use those picnic areas daily, in how can we make those serve the need and serve the residents here, but also all you all in a much better way. In addition to that, we heard how gathering for the play area and the kids, while you're watching your kids play, how much that community gathering aspect of the playground's a big feature. So thinking about how seating and those features can be enhanced in the park. Yeah. Okay, great comment. Yep, we'll keep that in mind.
Area right across from Hirschfeld, it's sort of
Yes. Yep, absolutely. We noted that in the, we'll hold on questions just till we get through. We just got a couple minutes here, so, but these are great comments, and I know Patrick's feverishly capturing them all. So just thinking about the circulation, the walks, this just highlights some of the high impact areas that Dailey Park serves. The clusters of gathering zones today are in red, the bigger picnic features. We also have one asset that I have not mentioned yet, the wonderful trees on the park. This is a site that has benefited some great mature trees and shade. With that also becomes a little bit of a constraint for us too. I'll share in a minute, but yes. Yes. Yep. Okay. Yep. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's part of looking at where we can get seating in the right places to maximize those little opportunities. So, yes, sir. Yes.
And yeah, I would like.
So kite flying being limited is, yeah. We'll come back to that, but the comment that just popped up was the mix of dog activities in the main garden or turf area and not being able to do like kite flying or other activities like that. So we'll come back to this. So we'll just with another couple minutes here and then we'll jump into more Q&A. As you all know, the playground serves a wide range of ages right now, and it's in need of an upgrade. So this is going to be a great opportunity to enhance the playground. And as I was touching on the trees, this is kind of a technical aspect of park design. But we thought it's important to share that the trees are very important to protect. And as part of our design process, we have to be very thoughtful about the placement of elements within the park. And what you see in blue is some of the influences of the tree. And so the larger area blue is called the tree protection zone. So basically today, every inch of diameter of a tree, we need to look at protection 1 foot out from the tree. So if you have a 10-inch caliper tree, diameter tree, you would end up with a 10-foot protection zone. And then we also have the drip zone, which is the canopy of the tree that's really requires extreme protection. So as we start advancing in design, you're going to hear a lot about why we're locating elements in certain areas, because we're trying to manage the preservation and protection of those trees too. So it's just an important factor for everyone to be aware of as we go through the design process. So we're really excited to get the questionnaire going. And the questionnaire gave us a nice snapshot before joining everyone here of how you all are using the park and what's important to you and what's important to the process. So we just wanted to share a couple findings as we go through the process. We'll end up sharing more detail of the survey or questionnaire, but as we've all clarified here, walking to the park is the main way that the neighborhood goes to the park. That's down at the bottom. On the top, pretty much daily, weekly users here. Not a surprise, right? I'm sure everyone here probably made a stroll through the park today. And interesting enough, I was thinking it might be more of an afternoon, but it really is it's close, but more heavy on the evening use of the park. When we had some anecdotal comments as we've been out on the park a couple times about how much more, now that there's more people working from home, that there's lunch and morning activity than there was in the past, but still the evening's predominant use. And then why are you coming to the park? Probably not a surprise. Walk the dog, go for a walk, use the playground, enjoy the lawn, enjoy shade, picnic, and then the events and basketball were the primary drivers. And then other part of it that is really important to the conversation too is the ages. So, and unfortunately the bar is blocking that, but The red is 0 to 9. Let me see if I can get that to go down for everyone. I don't know why it went up. I'll put it up here. Sorry about that. So anyways, now the folks online can see that, but as you can see, the young demographic has blossomed in the neighborhood, the 0 to 9. It's a big segment of the population. So that playground is busy, I would say. And then, you know, the middle tier, the 25 to 34 demographic is a significant portion of the population makeup of the community, at least from the respondents of the questionnaire. Oops. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it didn't want to move for me. So with that, oh, I lost my 25 to 34. Oh, sorry. I read the wrong one there. Yep, 35 to 50. Yep. So we love the commentary as well. There was just great comments about the love for the park. And I think this is amazing just to hear what people are saying. We gathered hundreds and hundreds of inputs, and it's just wonderful to see the passion for it. And then the reality of, like, we need shade. We need a place we need to manage the dog use. There's concerns about the interaction of unleashed dogs and some of the activities out there. We heard about the issues with some of the pet waste out on the park for sure. We've heard that. We've heard ideas about how to improve the connectivity with La Familia and the activities out there. But this is just a nice snippet of the variety of elements that we heard through the process. And then we also wanted to guide some inspiration with some of the parks that Denver Parks and Rec has recently completed. And I think this is great to see, just give a snapshot of some of the innovation in playground design, and also thinking about how sport courts, basketball courts can also serve multi-purposes. They could serve as a stage, they can serve as a gathering spot, they can host the small community events, but they also serve the function to be able to serve as a basketball court. So I think those are fun elements. And if you have a chance to go visit Russell Square, Chris can give you a little bit of insight on it. It's a project he recently completed, but a wonderful park to do impactful renovations of both those spaces, the former basketball court and playground area. And then Vaninos Park, another great example of a really cool play feature that'll get kids excited and get them out playing. So, and then McWilliams bringing in different elements to kind of create that imagination and creativity and nature play too. So where are we going? We are in a process right now where we're going through and waiting for the next slide to pop up, but not sure why it stopped, but this is there it is our schedule. So right now we're in the front phase of the project. We had a chance to get connected with a few stakeholders in the project, the neighborhood association, a few residents early on, just to vet getting our schedule going and trying to connect some of the meetings and get some initial input on Dailey Park and history. And then last month we had an opportunity to meet with the neighborhood association. I know a couple of people mentioned they were on that call, and we just gave a brief introduction, had a little bit of input from that conversation. We also met with Hirschfield Towers too, and had a chance to get some input from the neighbors here. So this is our first opportunity to hear from everyone here. And our goal tonight is to hear what's important to you, what your concerns are, and we will take that information and start developing our initial assessment of how that may influence design opportunities related to the program so that we can start sharing those concepts with you at our next meeting and be able to get input on those concepts, which would then ultimately drive us towards a preferred design that we would once again meet and share and have that opportunity to get input from everyone here. And then from that process, we get into the real detail of the design drawings, which are the construction documents. And that allows us then to go to bid and construct the project. And so the goal is to have construction in summer of 2024. That we just want to make people aware that there will be future disruption in the park, but the long-term outcome of that is an awesome park with new amenities.
How long is it projected to take?
We're probably 4 to 6 months.
Yeah, probably like around 6 months, you know, once we get started and everything under contract.
Will the park be closed for 6 months?
The parts that would be affected, yes.
That's
You know, if we don't do anything, say in the middle of the lawn, we wouldn't have to shut that down. That could remain open.
so that's the important part. Yeah, we depending upon where some of the major improvements are, it may move, limit some of the use of those areas, but we'll know more as we get further down the process here. So with that,
No, it'll all just be done at once, but I don't anticipate the entire park.
Yeah.
So more than likely that we would just shut down the areas where the playground and basketball courts go.
Right.
And then everything else could be moved. Now, we have to take consideration safety on.
That's just in my.
yeah. So
And of course, the irrigation is park-wide.
Right.
And so that would probably entail some closures of the wider park to redo that.
yeah, that's a great point.
You need to speak up louder because you're really soft.
Yeah, so through this process, we'll determine the irrigation system, how much to what extent it needs to be replaced. Some parts are working, the pressure's good, the water connection's good. But it's a good point that if we had to replace the whole thing, it affects the whole park. Yeah.
So with that, we're going to move into Q&A session. This is the opportunity. This is when we want to get your feedback input. So we're gonna just. Yes. Yeah, I was gonna.
We have enough time to let everybody.
Yeah, so we'll definitely give a chance for everyone, but it would be great to give the opportunity for a couple folks there. So Patrick, all yours.
Anybody have questions?
Oh, well, online.
Oh, yeah. We have a comment. It says annex the open space outside of Hirschfield Towers, remove the road and increase the size of the park.
And then for the folks online that are on the Zoom, if you want to raise your hand and ask a question, please go ahead and do that now, and Patrick will manage that, and you'll be able to, we'll all hear you when you ask your question.
Here we go. The first to go is Kathleen. You should be able to talk. You need to unmute yourself. I can't do it. There we go.
I think that was an erroneous request. Sorry.
Okay. Next person is Shannon.
Hey, thanks for having this and listening to the community. I just wanted to make a comment about how much my kids and my family love that walking path around the park. That's how they learned how to ride their bikes. They really, there's not a lot of safe places to ride bikes in this part of the city, with so many cars. So that's just a feature that might kind of go unnoticed, but really held a great place in my family's heart, and I know other families. So I just hope that something like that is kept in the design. Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, let's do it in person, then we'll
Okay.
let who would be next, just to get them ready.
April, you'd be next.
Okay, all right. Back here, back in the back first, you had your hand up. All right, yeah, you can go first and the next person.
Spirited Mind has spiked. And I heard you say nature play, and so we're so excited about that as a mother of two. I think it's incredibly important that the playground and the access for children doesn't stop at the playground. So I heard a comment that was a little concerning regarding fencing in the children's space. I would like to put in a vote that I vehemently disagree with that. I would ensure that children are welcome across the whole park and don't feel contaminated.
Just so everyone can hear, the comment was the opportunity for nature play, and then the concern about potentially fencing in the entire park and not having that freedom of flow and play. We'll go to the lady here.
Oh.
And you have to, I apologize, but you have to put the microphone really close.
Oh, hey, so we had a lot of discussion about dogs, but I haven't heard anyone say anything about an actual dog fenced in area, and I know there's like a lot of tension between the dog owners and non-dog owners about the dog poop. Is that under consideration, actually having a specific fenced in dog park? Because I think that would resolve a lot of the issues in the fact that people are using it sort of semi-legally, not legally. Sometimes.
I can answer your question. So the funding for this project is pretty defined.
Close to your mouth.
Thank you. The funding for this project is very specific, and that is that we are to replace the playgrounds. We're supposed to replace the basketball courts, the walks as needed, and the irrigation system as needed. Now, part of this process is that we want to hear about the other concerns and the other potential users for the park, including concerns about dogs. Today, we do not have funding for a dog park in this park. We do, however, have a new dog park that's going to be under construction this summer over by Ruby Hill. And then there's additional planning for a dog park at the Sunken Gardens on Spears. That one is just been kind of penciled in. They don't have funding for it, but we're hearing that it's more important and that might happen more sooner than later. The other comment is that if there is enough intention that we should put dog park here, I think there's a place that it could work. We don't want to make a giant, like more than say 5,000 square feet. There is a place here in the park that I think it could work, and we can circle that and say, hey, when funding is available, and if the neighborhood says that this is really that important, then we'll try to figure out how to make it work somewhere down the road. Does that answer your question?
We'll jump over here and I'll come back to you. Can we get the person online? Yeah, let's go for it. Thank you.
Oh, April, you don't have your hand raised anymore. Did you still want to say anything? Oh, there we go.
Yeah, we were wondering, the funding for this possible funding for the Sunken Gardens Park and then one in Ruby Hill. I know Dailey Park is a place where a lot of us do like to bring our dogs, and it brings a sense of community, and there really aren't any close to here. Is there any path to getting funding for a possible dog park at Dailey Park?
Yes, of course. I think with the Denver parks, it's always sort of the squeaky wheel gets the grease. And the more that we hear about the concerns and the need, then the more likely it is that we can try to find some funds to make it work. Does that answer your question?
Great, it does. So what would be the next step to start taking action to find funds for this, or would it have to be, I don't know, another process?
I would say contact your council person. That's the best way that we can deliver the message through the means of our system.
Okay, great. So maybe if the council person got a lot of requests for a dog park at this location at Dailey Park, then maybe they would take notice to it.
That's correct. That's how the one at Sanderson Gulch, which is by Ruby Hill, that one was located because Councilman Joel Clark was an advocate for it in that area. Now, the other thing that I can say is that through the planning studies that we've done with the city is that we've looked at facilities and the need for facilities in different areas. Dailey and the Baker neighborhood just fall out of the most needed areas. So what I'm saying is that there's other areas in the city that we have shown through our planning process that need the facilities more than right here. But again, put in the request to your city council folks and we can keep working on it.
Hey, everyone. So you mentioned that the spending is essentially tightly allocated and already established. Hi.
Hi.
So if that's the case, then what's really the point of community feedback here if it's not actionable?
Well, there's certainly, I mean, there's lots of things that we can talk about. I mean, like the types of play.
Talk about it or act on it though?
We're going to act upon it. I mean, we have funding that needs to be spent on construction. So like the playground, what goes into the playground, the location of it, the size of it, the allocation of the funding. You know, it is a bit challenging with construction right now because costs have continued to rise. And so there'll be questions that the community that we'll have to answer between us as to how we want to spend the dollars.
But isn't it already decided though, you said?
It's decided that we're going to replace the playgrounds and the courts. Those were voter approved. So that was already been, you guys are the public. It's already, that's what supported the funding. The city the public. The public voted on funding.
The size of the playground, location, the details, the scope.
Well, we have an allocated number of dollars at $1.4 million for the total project. So there's soft costs, including design, you know, it's roughly about 1.1 that we'll be able to spend on the construction. So.
Thank you. This is great. I love this. I'm a dog walker and I don't think any dog walker or dog owner, I should say, likes being in conflict with the council. They don't like being in a situation where parents and their children don't feel safe because dogs are running around. Like no one likes that. And it's not being addressed in this plan. And personally, I don't want a fenced in dog area. I just want a time where I can run my dog and not get in trouble. And where it's okay. And like my dog just loves running the whole length. So I don't think we need money for a dog, like a fenced in area. I think we just need a time where people can walk their dogs and it's okay. Yeah, I don't think that's a massive ask. And if you sat down and analyzed that park, I reckon in winter, 90% of people are dog owners. And during the summer, it might be what, 50%? And it's a lot. And you're just not addressing that in this.
I mean, it's across the city. And, you know, currently the policy is that all dogs in the park need to be on a leash. Okay, I know, I'm telling you what the policy is. And like, I can't change the policy. But that's what we're enforcing. The other component is our ranger system. So we have rangers that police the parks. And if people are not in compliance with the policy, the rangers are told to, like, you know, enforce it by either giving tickets or telling people what the rules are.
So you have a community consultation that identifies the majority of users of dog walkers and you don't address their needs.
Well, if they are, like you said, many dog walkers are using it because other people scared coming to the park because of dogs, like children.
Is that a common experience?
Yes, it is. Very common.
Okay.
And then you become a.
So one. Oh, hold on, we got one question here, but just to follow up on that. We definitely have a lot of good commentary in the questionnaire on this topic. So we'll make sure and bring some of that back at the next meeting with the understanding of the different interests.
So one thing I would request is no one has talked about the basketball court. Like it's rarely used. There's a big basketball court right at La Familia where everyone goes and plays basketball. It was the smallest circle on the survey. So I'm wondering whether some of that funding could be reallocated to a dog park rather than and I don't recall on the ballot it actually saying the basketball court. It might have been in the commentary, but the vote was just on the bond. And so anyway, that's just one comment I would make. But in terms of like what we're looking for at the park, so as a parent of a kid who also loves using the park, I just wanted to echo what someone else said, like kids using their bikes and scooters in the park is a really big thing. So not just in the playground, but around that loop. And so also one thing that my kid really likes at Wash Park is the pump track. And so to the extent if we could have maybe a little offshoot with a pump track for kids to ride their bikes on where they wouldn't conflict with walkers would be great.
Yeah, that's noted. That's a really great little feature.
Yeah.
Your comment about the basketball funding, it can be reallocated if there's a better use or better purpose for the funds.
Yeah.
And that'll be part of this process.
Yeah, that's like a very right prioritization. Like, would people rather have a new basketball court or like solving the dog issue? And from what we're all seeming to say, it's like the dog issue is a bigger concern. But anyway, yes, pump track and just play space for kids of all ages. Not just little kids, not just.
We found that basketball courts tend to attract older males, and they take over the space, and that's not always that equitable. So there's maybe some other things to look at in terms of how to program the space, whether it's different court sports, other kinds of activities that can happen, in a park like this, in a neighborhood that's as dense as it is. We need to try to, multitask essentially and find different ways to use spaces for all ages.
Yeah, and the final thing I would mention is another way that a lot of us with kids use the park is we bring tents and stuff to have parties in the park, like birthday parties. And so because there is no shade structure, people just wind up bringing tents and setting them up. And right now they do that along along Cherokee here, like just beyond the playground. And so that's just something that is often used, and that area is often used. Thank you.
I'm gonna jump online, and Brian's gonna come around and see people that we have your question. And then Pat will come back to yours, and we also have your question as well. So go ahead.
Dylan, I'm giving you the floor. You just need to unmute.
Thanks. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hi, everybody. Joel Clark, Denver City Council. Sorry, I couldn't be there tonight. I'm running between multiple meetings, and since there was a hybrid option, I'm trying to get to all of them. I just wanted to, I appreciate, I'm super excited that we got money finally for Dailey Park, but with due respect to the project team, I want to be very clear. I've been advocating and asking for a place for dogs in Baker for 7.5 years. And so I don't think that the solution is to suggest to the community who have been asking me for this, and I've been asking Parks for this for years, that the answer is to send more emails to me. I wish that I was the king of parks and park decisions, but unfortunately on the legislative side of government, I'm not. I don't get to make that decision. I've been told by Parks that there is no way that we can get a dog area or dog hours in Dailey Park. And so I went out and I worked with other landowners to identify other pieces of property within Baker near Dailey Park, where we got permission to set up a dog park and could not get any support from the department on that either. And so I really think that it's very important for Parks to provide a direct contact, someone who will be tracking all of the requests from this community for a place for dogs. Especially because my term is up this summer and we need to keep continuity. Again, I've been fighting for 7.5 years. The park that still isn't even built in Ruby Hill was funding that was put in the budget over 5 years ago now. This has been a very slow response from our Parks Department on getting dog park infrastructure all across the city. And this has been an area that has been of top need and we haven't gotten it. So I don't feel that it is realistic to believe that this is going to be resolved by this summer when my term is up. And so we really need a better answer than to send more emails to your council person, especially for this community, so that is not lost in transition between me and whoever is next in this seat. We really need a primary contact within Parks who will field all of the requests and track how many people are asking for this beyond my continued pleas for some sort of solution to the dog issues that are at Dailey Park and a dedicated space somewhere in Baker for dogs. So I just wanted to flag that. Again, very excited to finally get money after asking for not just for dog money, but we've been asking for a master plan redo since I started. Mark Tabor has been flagging that both on the park side and now on the Baker side. And everybody, tons of people in the room that we've been asking for redo. And then we're very excited to get money in the bond, but it was after we had been told we couldn't get any money for Dailey until we redid the master plan. So things are starting to move. It's exciting to have money, but I was a little frustrated with the answer that to just keep sending emails to me when my emails to the Parks Department are going nowhere. So we need a direct conduit for the community to communicate with parks to continue pushing for dog infrastructure in Baker. Thank you.
Jolan, thank you for your comments. Thank you for your support. I want to offer that we might put together a meeting with our executive director, Gordon Robertson, and yourself, and start trying to develop a critical path for, developing some of the work that you've done over the years.
So much is going on. This is hard to keep my old mind together. I hear a lot about kids and parents, and I think that's just really important. I think we've got room to do everything. I think we have room for kids and dogs, probably not the same part of the park. But what I'd like to really caution is if we spend millions of dollars rebuilding this park and we don't have a little dog park there, I'm saying little, maybe 1/10 of an acre, and the park is like 2.7 acres. Or a couple tenths of an acre. If we don't have a dog park there, it's going to look like crap like it does now. And we're going to put all that money in it, and it's going to look like crap because we're still going to be running our dogs because there's no other place to run them. And Parks and Rec has done a great job on the park. The park rangers are trying, but they get orders. People call in as the call. When I got a ticket for my 1-year-old doodle, I said, why? And said, well, we had a call. The German Shepherd bit a kid in the area. And I said, that didn't happen. We'd know about it. It would be on next door. Someone would be in jail. It's like, and this is not a German Shepherd. This is a 1-year-old doodle. So it's kind of like, let the punishment fit the crime. And it's, if you park your car in front of the street sweeper, you get a $50 ticket. If you turn your dog loose there in the park, you get a $100 ticket. And the second time I got a ticket, I'm the old guy that can't get away with the rest of the crowd. Okay. The second time I got a ticket, there were 2 of us and we were sitting and our dogs were playing with a Frisbee next to us. It had been 105 degrees that day. It was still 95 degrees. Well, we got a call that parents wanted their kids playing soccer. I said, no, not today. That didn't happen. It was too hot. So I got a ticket. My friend whose dog was also loose did not get a ticket. Well, I raised the issue with Parks and Rec, and they said, oh, we were being sensitive because it would have taken so long to fill out that other ticket. And I looked at my ticket and said, excuse me, my name, dog's name, my driver's license number, and nothing else. It wasn't filled out. So there's a lot of inequity involved in this, but let's develop equity and develop a place for kids and for parents, and even for kids to teach their kids, parents to teach their kids to ride a bicycle on the sidewalk, which by the way is as illegal as running your dog loose. But let's develop a place for everybody, and the dogs are definitely part of it. Thanks. I've talked too much. Go ahead.
That's our design challenge.
I really didn't have a question. I was just going to add a comment, like adding like a dog park area. There's also like a design element of like a dog run. So if there's like a long skinny area of the park Like dogs like to run, like a lot of dog owners, like I'll walk my dog over here. That little guy, like he just needs to run 15-20 minutes hard, throw the ball, and then like I walk him home. So there's also that aspect to think of. Like a lot of people will bring their dog to like run them and then take them home because like they just need to get energy out. So even if it's like a long skinny track, like there's dog runs, it doesn't necessarily have to be like the huge middle area. But if there's like an underutilized space, I would say like that could be pretty easy to, I would, portion off funding for just like a fence to put up.
Thank you.
Hi, first I would like to second the pump track and the covered picnic area, ideally close to the playground. That just feels so critical. And then I got here late, so sorry if I missed this, but what is the process for the playground in particular? Like, are you going to show us a design and we get to react to it, and then we get to ideally, given that we're going to be on a tight budget, like can we see like this is going to cost this much, and like potentially like options, and like we can say like, okay, yes to this, no to that, and obviously a lot of people are going to be weighing in, but like in particular, like dogs aside, like the playground feels important, and like I want to make sure we can like weigh in on what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of decisions.
Yeah. You want?
There's a lot of decisions to be made about the playground. First off, the age groups that we would, be addressing. Typically, it's 2 to 5 year olds and 5 to 12 year olds. And then there's the different types of play features, whether there's climbing features, swings. Currently out there's the little rockers, which a lot of kids actually love. There's climbing capacities. A lot of climbing is really enjoyed by like preteens and younger teens. That's kind of out of our scope, but those are all things that we can consider. Then there's the aesthetics, what it looks like. And, somebody mentioned nature play, which is definitely sort of a style we want to introduce or allow, nature to be part of the play experience. We have maintenance and long-term, longevity to consider. And those are all questions that we'll ask. And, our design team is fully qualified to help present some of those options. And that's what we're going to work together to sort out what fits this community and what fits our budget.
But just like in the timeline you laid out, like at what point are you going to show us that and we get to react to it?
Next step.
Yeah, those are the next steps. So we have at least 2 more meetings. And I anticipate that we'll have some of the first concepts for what those how big are they, where they're located. There's been some thoughts about possibly trying to relocate the playground or the courts, and we can consider those, but there's always implications from a cost standpoint, right? And we want to get the best, bang for our buck, so to speak. So those are all the ramifications of decisions that we'll make. So.
And just to add, I'll just say Mark's been very helpful from the neighborhood association standpoint to help share information. So we'll make sure that we're communicating, be able to find avenues to get the word out there beyond, just the coming in to meet with us. We want to make sure that this gets an opportunity to get input as we go through the process. We're going to go to this gentleman. I have you all next. We're going to go to this gentleman and we're going to go online for one.
A couple of things. First, on the dog park issue, it's clearly out of scope for what your plan is here. And it seems like the Parks Department ought to have a listening session about dogs in the park separate from this planning process, because it seems completely irrelevant to what you've been hired to do. Are you contractors?
So we are design consultants working with Denver Parks and Rec. Chris in the team here also with us tonight is with Denver Parks and Recreation.
Okay.
So they're hearing all this input at the same time.
Whether you're contractors or parks employees, it seems like your job is to follow the plan. And the Denver Dog Park Master Plan does not, as you said, make Baker a priority. It has places that with more population and less service for dogs that are even higher priority. So if you think people are clamoring here, I'm sure they're clamoring elsewhere, at least if they can band together the way the cabal here has. dogs aside, I want to say that an emphasis on the park being able to be a performance space and the emphasis on non-turf plantings are probably the biggest things that you could do to make an impact here. And that's all I want to say about that.
Thank you. Good comments. We'll come back around. We got a couple of people here. We're going to go online real quick. Patrick, who's up?
All right, Sarah. You just need to unmute.
Hi there, can you hear me? So thank you so much. I know that this is a big deal. And as you can hear, everybody is incredibly passionate about this park, which is a good thing and a bad thing, I suppose, in a meeting like this one. I just wanted to make two quick comments. One, I didn't notice that the 5 Points Park was one that you guys had used as a comparator park. But they just did a beautiful new playground over in 5 Points, and it too is a very dense, small space, and I think it was used incredibly well. So I would just encourage you to take a look at some of the design choices that they made over there when considering upgrading the playground in our neighborhood. And then secondly, I tend to echo the last commenter that the dog park, I understand this is a passionate issue for a lot of my neighbors, but if that isn't on the agenda, whether or not there's something else that they could pivot their attention towards, the Flores Park, which is only 2 or 3 blocks north of Dailey, is empty 95% of the time. I'd never see anyone almost ever at that park. And that seems to me like it would be a much better opportunity to reutilize space. So I would just encourage Parks and Rec to maybe take another look at Flores and see if that's something that could be quickly and easily repurposed. Thank you.
Commentary. Yeah.
Oh, okay, no, that's all right. I agree with most of the people here, disagree with some of them, but one of the things that I think would be really nice with the playground area expanded over to Cherokee and where all the trees are and everything. There's every morning just about I call it the buggy brigade. All the moms are out there with the buggies and the little kids are out there playing and and give them a little bit of shade and they only have one bench, well, 2 because the other one in the sandbox or in the sand. And so they have a little place, shade to play and move a little sandbox over there where all those trees are. The kids would love, be able to play a little bit of the shade with things like that. So I think it's one thing expanding the playground area over, to the other side from I don't even know the name of the street. I should be ashamed. Babel and Cherokee, that corner. I think would be a fairly good idea of use of space. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just 2 things. One, this is a little issue. I would like to have more trash receptacles. And one of the things I've never understood is there are 2 picnic areas and there used to be trash buckets there and then they moved them to the curbs. It doesn't make sense that way. I mean, put in buckets at the picnic areas. And the other thing, and I missed what the woman was saying about making another park, the dog park. Was she talking about Hector Flores Park? Okay, because that's what I was going to suggest too.
Thank you. Appreciate it. There you go.
Part of the thing with all of the questions that we have and that the information that you can impart on us, I think you took all of our emails. Are you going to be sending out questionnaires to us in our emails so that when you have a playground question or such, or the dog park question, which, obviously is everybody's concern, but that you can ask us in like a questionnaire so that we're not belaboring the points. And we can give you the information and then you can come back to us with the results of everybody's information? Is that a possibility?
Great question. We haven't formulated the next community meeting plan, but that's a great input. We have used questionnaires to get reads at those meeting on design ideas. Because data helps and it makes good design decisions that way many times. So yeah, I appreciate that input on that. That's a good point to utilize the group, and especially being hybrid when we can get people to connect and give input. Yeah, we'll come back. We're gonna come back. Oh, I got you. And
Yeah, just a quick comment, not about dogs. DCIS Fairmont is going to be constructing a new adaptive playground. And it'd be good if, that was not done in a silo with the playground redesign, that you guys knew what was going on there. So you know what you need to know.
There's an adaptive playground that is being done at Fairmont right now. It is summary. So trying to make sure we're in communication.
In regards to scope and agenda of the dog park, like this is our community tax dollars. They should be spent on our community needs. So agenda and scope should be relevant to the community's needs.
Thank you.
I just really want to put a plug for the basketball court, because every time that I go by, people are playing. And so I think one of the issues with the basketball court is that it's highly, it needs to be fixed and it needs to be updated. And I think there'll be a lot more people playing on it when it is. And again, with the dogs, we know nothing's going to happen with the dog park. We need to move on.
Thank you for the input. Come back around. Come back here. We'll get you right away, and we'll come to you, sir. Any other?
Yeah, please go ahead.
To ensure I don't speak out of turn, I have a question first. Can someone clarify what the parking status is around? Is it 2-hour parking or is there no restrictions before I ask my question or make my comment? There.
Tuesday of every month.
Okay.
And that could be from 8 o'clock in the morning until 5 o'clock at night.
Sure.
And they don't care if there's no cars there all day long. If you park there, you're gonna get.
Sure. Otherwise, there's no restrictions. Am I correct?
So-
Fair. Okay, awesome. Thank you. So my comment that I would like to make is to potentially make the area around the park 2 hours to encourage people that are using the parking to be using the park for that purpose. And something that I think would be pretty important for the dynamic.
And for the folks that are online, the question was, are there restrictions on the parking? And it has limited, I got best way to put it, limited restrictions on regarding just street cleaning days. So we'll gather more intel on that.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
But a vote for the 2 hour. And one more comment. The gentleman over here made a phenomenal point that maybe there's another opportunity for us all to get together and to share different ideas and different demographics. I would say maybe this isn't the best time for parents to speak up about children. I'm personally missing bedtime right now, but this is a priority. And so if I totally agree, awesome, let's find some time for dog owners, but maybe a time that's conducive to parents as well to ensure that those voices are heard.
Okay. Well, we'll answer a couple of questions here. We have probably 5 more minutes, I would say. We're a little over our time. We'll come back around. Riley, here you go.
Just to echo for kids, the pump track is a great idea. They're used in Wash Park. A hill, super used in Wash Park. There's almost no hills in this neighborhood. It'd be great to have a place to just do a tiny bit of sledding. And then big playground items for like 12-year-olds, 14-year-olds, I think would be super awesome.
Thank you, Riley. Oh, sorry. I'll get you next. Right here. Brian's right behind you. He's going to surprise you.
Oh, hi. So I'm a resident here and I find that parking is crazy in this area. And I agree with the 2 hour parking for people using the park. But
That's also problematic for residents here. I think that people that have a DHA sticker on their dashboard should be exempt from that restriction. Because it's very problematic to begin with, to find parking around here.
All right, thank you.
I just wanted to know if there's any plans to relocate the basketball court as of right now or not.
So the question is, are there any plans to relocate the basketball court at this current time? We are just starting the design phase, so we haven't looked at any design placement of anything, but we're trying to evaluate what that replacement would look like. So that'll be part of what we come back with next time, our thoughts on planning areas and locations and the relationships of these. Hold on one sec. We'll do Christina. I'm going to have you just answer a question. I want to make sure, do we have any more raised hands? All right, just comments. So we're going to have 2 more questions. Oh, sorry, I didn't catch you before. Yeah, I need to make sure we get you too. So we'll do 2 questions and Christina, we're going to close out the questions. So here you go, sir.
Oh, I just want to add that we just don't have one circular path, but we need to like a crisscross. So children maybe can a little bit look shorter path. Yeah, and it'll be bored with the only one circle path. So I create a crisscross. And one more thing, I want to have a landscape a little bit more, and if possible, community can put flowers, or like the government can put the flowers, they can email to a certain person that administer there, and they will decide who's gonna put the flowers on certain week. Maybe beautiful. We look at flowers in the summertime, in the fall, and winter time, and springtime, and people just can plant flowers there. And so,
thank you for that input. Here you go.
Yes, I just wanted to reiterate something that was said earlier here, which is this is a very poor time for a majority of the actual park users to come, which is the young families. The young families in Baker represent a major demographic change. I've lived here for 25 years, and in that period, we've gone from no kids to an absolute army of kids. And this is the only park which has the potential, not necessarily the actuality, to service them. At the same time, we seem to have had an army of dog lovers come descend on us, which did exist 20 years ago. And I just want to make sure that we understand, you say this is a listening for, post. Most of the people with that younger demographic, with kids and so forth, aren't here because they're feeding their kids and doing all the things that busy parents have to do. And I beg you to take that into consideration as you are considering these things. And I'll leave it at that.
And just to add to that, we're going to close on questions with Christina here, but just to add, that's part of the reason for the hybrid option, to create that flexibility. We do have, I don't know how many people now, 25 now. We had almost 30 plus people on the call. So that we really are trying to accommodate that flexibility, and hybrid is the best way to be able to do that. So I just want to note that for you, but we're going to close on the comments. Christina has one more. We're wrapping up kind of over our time limit, but we wanted to make sure we had a chance to hear the input from the community here.
I'm saying maybe everybody should vote on this. Maybe there should be an election or a referendum or something.
We already did.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna make this quick. We discussed this when we met back in the fall, but the lighting would be a great discussion topic, meeting up with Excel, replacing some of those posts that are rested out at the bottom, maybe providing outlets or at least locked outlets for those who would like to perform in the park, to have access to electricity at that time. So I just want to make sure that doesn't get forgotten in these conversations.
Wonderful comment. Yeah, that's terrific. Well, we thank everyone for your time tonight. We really do. It takes effort from everyone here to be involved, and we want to make sure we have a process that gets the input and we continue the communication. So we have a lot of great assets in terms of the neighborhood association and just the word of mouth. I know there was a lot of people sharing the invites. By even one of our associates that lives in the neighborhood shared this quite a bit with his network. So this is how it happens. We're going to take this input back to our respected offices, and we'll continue to look through and determine next steps and develop concepts that we'll come back and share with you. And we'll have more discussion about how these look, what the reception is to the different variations, and move forward towards finding a preferred path that we can go into construction, documents and construction. So thank you all for your time. Any questions or continued communication? Yeah, you can. Great, we can talk after. We'll be here kind of closing up and cleaning up, so we can do that. Christopher Schooler is also, he's the project manager for this, and his email is up here. So if you need to share an email with him, he's happy to take your emails and keep those catalogs so we get that input along the way. Chris, anything else to add? All right. Yeah, thanks everyone. Appreciate you taking the time tonight.